When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Kroger worth it every time. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
From Wall Street to the White House, this is the Larry Kudlow Show.
Welcome back, folks. We bring in the great Kellyanne Conway, former Trump senior counselor. She was the campaign manager back in 2016, founder of the polling company, and her book is Here's the Deal, a memoir. She's also got it's the same title for the Fox Nation. What's the title of the Fox Nation show, Kellyanne?
That's exactly right. Here's the Deal with Kellyanne. And my very first guest on my very first show was, drumroll, Larry Kudlow.
Right. I hope it didn't wreck your ratings.
It was the best. Got us. It was like a rocket launch, Larry.
Kellyanne, my love, calmer, spiritual grace of God, but also growthier, pro-worker. Success will bring us all together. I mean, remarkable themes from President Trump at this convention. What do you make of it?
I think you captured it well, Larry. We were promised that, and he delivered. I also thought it was a good rundown of the greatest hits. You have to have the binary contrast between the two presidents' agendas. It's very simple. If you think you're better off under President Biden, you should vote for him or whoever replaces him. And the opposite is also true. If you were better with Trump, vote for him. We really, as a nation, never have an opportunity to vote that way. We usually have to go on people's promises and their Monday morning quarterbacking spin of their records. But these are pretty. I've never seen such a bright line distinction with a difference, Larry, between the two parties on policy. So that's easy. The tone, the accessibility, I just call it, Trump at sunset. It's unbelievable. And you and I have seen him like that. I don't want to buy into this media narrative of, Trump, we were promised a new Trump. We weren't. We don't need a new Trump. We need to see different facets of Donald Trump. And Larry, I'll put it this way. I often describe Donald Trump as a very complex person with simple ideas. And too many people in politics are the opposite. They are simple people with very complex ideas. And that, I think, is the grandeur of Donald Trump. And then we saw a man whose, I think, life had been changed in a bit by having had his life been saved. He believes, I talked to him, I've seen him since he survived that assassin's bullet a week ago, Larry. I've seen him in person. I wanted to see him. I was glad to do it because you really can't, as you know, you can't really get the full flavor if not. And I do think that he knows he got a second lease on life. And the question for all of us is, when you get a second chance of any form and fashion, I've gotten second chances, you've gotten second chances, Donald Trump just got a big one. What do you do with it then? That's the big question. This man literally has nothing to lose. He's saying, this is what I'm called to do. I'm going to keep doing it. Because people like me who love him, love his family, have said to him several years ago particularly, you don't need to do this. If you want to do it, do it. But remember, and I said it in my remarks from my convention speech on Wednesday night in primetime, Larry, I said he doesn't need to do this. We need him to do this. He can go play golf every day on his own golf courses. He could be a billionaire, the envy of all ex-presidents. He's got 5 amazing children, 10 incredible grandchildren who are of ages and stages now where they really appreciate their spending time with Grandpa. He's got the most extraordinary, elegant, beautiful, brilliant, graceful wife. This man doesn't need to do it. He wants to do it, and we need him to do it. And I think that surviving that assassin's bullet brought that all into sharp relief. Well,
and you make a lot of good. By the way, your speech on Wednesday was very good. I have not told you that. I haven't seen you. But your speech was terrific. You all get it. We get a second chance on life. It's providential. You make the best of it. That's what he's going to do. But here's a thought, Kellyanne. The beginning of this speech was very dramatic, all about dodging the bullet and what happened to him. And, by the grace of God, he's still alive. Very dramatic, very dramatic. But he then departed from the text and here's where I disagree with, like, the Wall Street Journal editorial and so forth and some others. I know he started riffing for a half hour or more, riffing. Okay, I was glad he was riffing because, Kellyanne, that's the Trump that I know, that you know. That's what he does. I happen to like it. Maybe not everybody does. But it told me that, he's still there. It's the same guy. It's not like he's a totally different guy. Like you just said, I don't want him to be totally different guy. All right. He may be calmer. He may understand the Lord better, whatever. But I don't want the old Trump to go away. And that's what the riffing told me, that it was still there. He had a sense of humor. He wandered off into the Green Bay Packers. Okay, that's fine. And then he got back and delivered a tremendous second half of the speech later. The riffing told me it's still my guy. It's still my guy. And that's the guy that, look, we worked for him, but we have personal relationships and love him. Still our guy.
Still your guy. Larry, that was his opportunity to, I think, recount some of his greatest hits and greatest riffs to a new audience. Yes. Larry, to a new audience. You and I aren't swing voters. And we don't, by the way, we don't vote in swing states either. But so far, who knows this time. But Larry, for a new audience to hear things for the first time, who cares if the media had to, quote, suffer through it for the 100th time? They can go find another job if they'd like. Go sit behind a computer somewhere and don't talk to people. I'd be fine with that for some of these folks. Listen, that is Trump. He is spontaneous. Look at what people don't want. They don't want this automaton, robotic Joe Biden that we have now, who's scared to death to speak out of turn, to look vacant in his eyes. People are rejecting that. We want spontaneous because guess what? The world's a dangerous place, Larry Kudlow. We all know it. Things are uncertain. Even before the assassin's bullet went Trump's way, the world is uncertain. It's a scary, dangerous, and more dangerous place than when you and I work for President Trump in the White House. So you need a president who can also be spontaneous. He's not impulsive. He's very thoughtful. There was nothing new in there, and that's okay. But this adaptability is important. And by the way, it's reaping rewards for Donald Trump. How? The Democratic Party, Larry, has been hooked to unanimity for far too long. They all voted for Hakeem Jeffries, all 20 ballots, 15 for Kevin McCarthy, 4 or 5 for Mike Johnson. Hakeem Jeffries on the Democratic side received every single Democratic vote every single time. They all voted for the Inflation Reduction Act. They all voted against the Tax Cut and Jobs Act in 2017. They all voted against Amy Coney Barrett. And now the unanimity is starting to fray. They have unanimity. We have unity. Unity means there's going to be some growing pains. Unity means some people are going to say, I wish he had said this. I wish he hadn't said that. We'll take it. You are married to the most extraordinary woman of all, Judy Kudlow. Do you agree on 100% of the time? Of course not. You're sentient human beings. We find the 90, 92, 94, 88% of agreement on things. And part of my speech the other night was, folks, if you know someone who's cynical about politics or skeptical about Donald Trump and the Republican Party, don't look the other way. Don't dismiss them or insult them. Talk to them. Stare them in the eye and say, here is why I believe. Here's why I stand up and show up and put up. I feel like Trump's got his arm outstretched, Larry, talking to those same people saying, come aboard. Did you hear anything in here that was important to you? That's why he's burrowing into these core Democratic constituencies, the union households, the young people, the African Americans, the Hispanic Americans. A lot of folks who heretofore listen to the Democratic Party tell them, hey, you're an oppressed group and we're for the oppressed people. You know what people are saying? I'm not oppressed, and if I am, I don't need to be that way. And by the way, you don't tell me how to think and how to vote. There's a real transformative quality to Donald Trump in 2024.
So one other point that I love that you just kind of touched on it, working people, the head of the Teamsters, Sean O'Brien, he really gave a rock and roll speech.
20 minutes.
At the Republican convention. Now, Kellyanne, so the day after, sort of 2 days after, they're coming after him. The vice president of the Teamsters says he's going to challenge Sean O'Brien because Sean O'Brien dared to give a speech at the Republican National Convention, and it was a speech about working people. And so was J.D. Vance about working people, and so was Donald Trump about working people. All right? This is not a crime. And incidentally, as you well know, down through the years, the Teamsters Union has leaned Republican many, many times.
Oh, the rank and file, of course, have such a different view of most of these unions, these public unions and private unions, Larry, than do the rank and file. That's been very clear. They can't control their members. And some of the heads of these unions over time have been as authoritarian and bureaucratic and power hungry and enriching themselves, frankly, and not naming names, over time than even the rank and file. So this big sin of Sean O'Brien was, again, to break ranks, to break that unanimity. You must be for Democrats and say, you know what? Donald Trump recreated the Republican Party into the party of the worker. And here's how he did it. And you can get specific. I like the fact that Sean O'Brien, first Teamsters union to ever speak at a Republican convention. I like the fact that he got specific, Larry. He wasn't just there to have a good time and, oh, look at me, I'm speaking in prime time. He was specific about regulation, legislation, energy independence, benefits, Obama. He was very specific. And then he took it a step farther. He started mentioning people like Congresswoman Nicole Maliotakis of Staten Island. He started mentioning Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri. He called out the people who had helped them.
Right.
And I thought that was important, too, because one thing that's missing from this entire conversation, Larry, is making sure Trump gets a Republican House and Senate. Chuck Schumer is about to give up on the top of the ticket and say, we need checks and balances on Trump. He's going to dump $500 million into the Senate and House races to make sure they keep control. So it was important to hear specific names who have actually helped the rank and file workers in those unions.
All right. Kellyanne Conway, a national resource, and my love all these years.
And your friend.
Thank you very much.
Love you back. Thanks,
and my
Larry.
dear friend. Thank you for helping us today. Folks, we'll take a quick break, and then Kash Patel, former chief of staff to the Secretary of Defense, is going to talk to us about this Secret Service mess, and a mess it is. I'm Kudlow. Be right back.
Larry Kudlow.